Hey, hello everybody, Larry here, and welcome to Larry's Fountain Pens. And today I'm just going to show you a pretty cool ink. This ink was sent to me by Brian from the Pen Thing store for a review. So thank you, Brian, for thinking about me, and this way I can share this cool ink that you sent me with all of us ink enthusiasts out there. We all like inks, right? Some of us like all types of colors. Some of us just like particular colors. Whatever the case may be, an ink's an ink. You either like it or you don't like it. That's how I feel about it. Now, for me, to be honest with you, when I first tried this ink, I didn't really much get into it. But, I wasn't going to just give up and say, okay, I just saw the ink and it really wasn't all that. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to like it because I didn't give it a chance for it to work up in here. Sometimes for some people like me, it takes a little while for me to get adjusted to the color of the ink, to the power of the ink, of all the elements that are made within the ink, that comes out of that ink, that makes it pop, that makes it look different, that makes it just become part of your ink collection, if you know what I mean about inks. Are all inks equal? Certainly not. Some are better than others. To each their own. So, before I get into the test that I want to show you, here's the ink. It's called the Three Oysters Hwangto. Is that right?
Yes.
And that stands for Fertile Earth. It's a Korean ink. Now, I didn't have any inks to match or get close to this color. The only one that I could even possibly get close to was the Noodler's Apache Sunset. Now, you can see it's not the same ink, of course, but it's the only thing that I really could get close to this ink. So, to me, this ink is unique because I don't have a color that's even really close to this ink. That makes it different, because a lot of times, I'm speaking for myself, I will get inks that look almost similar to the ink I already have. And that's kind of like, I like different inks. I like them to look different than the ones I'm already using. My story is, why get an ink that you already have? Maybe a different name or say a different color, but it really actually is just about that same color. So this is the ink again, what it looks like. So what do you think of it so far? Well, after I decided, you know what, I'm going to try this ink a while and write with it and see how I feel later. Well, I did, and I like the ink. I really do. I thought it was a pretty cool ink. So, let's go down here on the rhodia paper, and we're going to test it out on here. Test it up real good there, and just wait a bit, and we'll see what's going to happen here. Here we go. That's not too bad, because it's still, you can still see the ink there. So let's do something else. really lay down that ink. Now what I want to do is the same test after I've written on paper and see how it holds up to writing. You know, you're just fiddling around with inks and you like to check your inks out periodically and see what they can and can't do. Alrighty, so let's see how it does. Well, look at there. That held up pretty well, didn't it? Sure did. You know, I'm impressed with it. Because there's some inks that when you do the wet test on it, it'll just disappear. It just comes right off. But this seems to work pretty well. You know, the first time I ever tried it with this ink. So if you're like me, I was a little bit surprised that it held up that well. So will I be using this ink more often? Well, yes. And the reason, not so much because water resistant, because it may or may not be water resistant. Someone else may find this ink not water resistant, but as you see here, for me it did fine. But I use the ink because I like the color of the ink. I like how it shows up on the paper when I'm writing. If the ink pops and I like the way it lays down and that color just seems to bond with me, I'm going to use that ink. So that's my take on the Korean Three Oyster ink. Thanks for joining me today, my friends. Be safe, don't text, and drive. Take care. Peace. Money. Okay, again, we're going to give it another test to see how it holds up. On the previous test, it did fine. But I saw where some of these inks weren't water resistant. And I think that's still wet. Yep, that is still wet. But let's just go ahead and really get it good and wet. That's not wet. And just see what happens for the heck of it. You know, I'm by no means no ink expert. Don't claim to be. All I can do is show you my findings. Give it a little time there. Get it nice and wet. So here we go. And that's pretty doggone wet. There you have it. What do you think? Yes or no? Looks like it held up pretty good for me. Well, that's going to wrap it up, folks. Thank you.